Hey, somebody's learning how to play guitar.
Well, yeah, learning. Learning be the optimal word. But yeah, right now I'm just strumming. Just strumming because it feels nice and there's something soothing about hearing the vibrations.
Yeah. You just did like what? One lesson, two lessons?
One lesson. Yeah.
All right.
But I wonder what it's like for you. Is it like having like you know, a 7-year-old kid in your house who's like doing the same like twinkle twinkle all over again?
I don't know. I think you add your little, Andre something something in. I feel like we're way over on one side. You can, because your thing's there. Hi everyone.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
I guess we're live. We're on.
We are live.
Which
we are
means
live.
It's 11 a.m. for where we are, someplace in the world. We're like far apart and close. And...
Come closer. I went too far this way, so I was trying to get you to move closer to me.
Oh, yeah.
That's better.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, so there was room for the guitar.
So thanks everyone for joining us.
Hello.
I'm Tara.
I'm Andre.
For those of you who don't know us, and if this might be people's first time joining us.
Some people, yeah, some people. The group is growing on its own. It's organic, right? I mean, we've never advertised or anything, and we're like 1,200 people or something. It's insane. It's crazy.
Amazing.
People joining. So yeah, I think people want to come together. We want to connect. They want to be
polyamorous.
Yeah.
And they want to talk about it, which is why we're here.
And
all those things.
Benefits and
yeah.
What do we still call it, right? I mean, we call it polyamorous.
Yes. Open relating.
Ethically non-monogamous.
Consensually non-monogamous.
Friends with benefits, some people say.
Yeah.
Right? Swinging. There's like a whole bunch of things, right?
Yeah.
And if you're even just, mono, and just curious, welcome.
Welcome. Yeah. We're here, to teach and experience and share our experiences. Maybe not teach.
Teach sounds so heavy.
Maybe not teach, but share our experiences and what we've learned through our 4-year journey.
Invite dialogue.
Yeah. So people who don't know us, we've been doing this for about 4.5 years, I'd say, getting close. Yeah. It's been an amazing journey for me, really, and for us, I think. We grow and evolve all the time.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to say something else.
Well, no, I was speaking to somebody that I work with, and they've been in this lifestyle for about 20 some years, and they tell me that they're still learning new things, and they still have issues around jealousy and all those good things, right? So I mean, it's a journey.
Yeah, for sure.
To completion.
And things come up, right? And things change. And sometimes we shift and move. And I mean, I'm working with some people as well that have been in a lot like swingers for a very long time, and something came up for them. And so now we're working through it, which is super exciting. And it's like, I love seeing them experience their relationship anew after like a bit of a trauma.
Yeah, it's great to have that willingness to look at it and want to process those thoughts and feelings, as opposed to just going away with like hurt feelings or resentments or whatever, and then just saying, oh, like the hell with it, or screw them, or it's not for me, or just bearing those feelings. We want to be able to process it, and we do that through communication, right? Communication. So just talk about it and find out what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds simple, but it's not so simple to communicate all the time. You make it sound like, oh, just talk about it, but it isn't actually that simple.
No, but when people come into my practice, I often say, all you have to do is say everything.
Yes.
It sounds rather simple, but go ahead and try and say everything, right? Really get in touch with what is known to you, and then you might also find out what's not yet known to you in saying everything. But yeah, it's not such an easy thing, but we make the gesture, we make the effort to try and communicate openly and honestly, and hopefully with a listening partner or a therapist or whoever it is that you're working with. And go at it.
Yeah, go at it.
I like it because it helps to validate our feelings, our thoughts, and our position, right? We might normalize it and cut it out. And we might normalize it and make it acceptable, if not to society, at least to ourselves.
Okay, cool. Well, before we jump into we sort of jumped into it there, but I did want to make a couple of announcements. So for those of you who are new to watching us, you're maybe watching us in our Let's Talk Polyamory group, Facebook group, which is amazing. That's where all the content is. But if you're joining us from our Facebook page or YouTube,
we're on YouTube?
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel.
Wow.
But the YouTube channel does not have all the content that's in the group. So if you are watching from that place, then join us in Let's Talk Polyamory. There should be a link in the description. So that's the one thing. The second thing is to thank everyone for all their suggestions for what you'd like to see in 2022. We're still totally open for ideas for this weekly live events, online events, programs, and workshops. We're really excited about this year. I think we got some really exciting things.
And we have something coming up, right?
Yes.
A speed dating event.
Yeah,
online speed dating.
Yeah.
Is it going to be in person or online? This one's going to be online.
Online.
Okay, online.
Online.
Which is cool because we'll have people from potentially from around the world joining us, which is awesome.
So we're going to do it like a speed dating. It's going to be really casual, but you'll have the opportunity to we'll meet as a group. We haven't worked all the things, but there'll probably be something fun, a game, and then you'll have the opportunity to meet people like you would do in a speed dating.
Oh, cool.
And so it's going to be a mix of people. So you could meet a couple, you could meet a single person, you could meet someone of the same gender as you, someone of the opposite gender.
Someone undefined or
undefined,
undisclosed.
So it's going to be fun.
So we can show up at this group as a single or as a couple, or as a triad or polycule or whoever we want, right?
Yep, however you want. Yeah.
And there's going to be like a little meet and greet first. We'll get to know each other, play some games, break the ice, and then we'll do the round of speed dating.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's going to be super fun. So it's going to be, we'll do it a bit as a paid event, but it'll be like a nominal thing. So we want you guys to have a good time and do that. So, all right. So we talked about that. So on to today's topic.
Yeah. What are we talking about today?
So today we're talking about the 5 W's. So the who, what, where, when, and why you need to know about opening up.
Okay.
So we're going to give you questions to ask yourself and things to consider in opening up a relationship, shifting from monogamous to consensually non-monogamous in some way. So these are great for people who are new, considering non-monogamy, or even those who've been doing it for a while, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. Even if you've already been at it for a while, is there any opportunity to look at things that are working well and how they can be capitalized on, or things that are working less well and how we might address that and go at them as well, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So while the focus today is kind of on couples opening up, I think there's things that kind of across the board that can support everybody. So, so as a related topic, I wanted to share that I'm feeling a lot of gratitude today for this weekend and for our relationship and everything. Cool. I think this is one of the reasons why I love being open, because I don't know, there's so many possibilities and interesting things that can come up. I'm also feeling maybe a little bit of afterglow from our exciting morning.
Okay, moving right along.
And I have to say too that you look quite handsome today. You have a new haircut.
I do, as do you.
Yes.
Yeah, the wonderful Anna Ricci was our stylist this weekend. She has a salon in towards Montreal North, the West End of Montreal.
Yeah, Orazio.
Yeah,
so she styled us on Friday.
Thank you. Great job, stellar. Great.
So,
where to begin?
Where to begin?
We already begun, but where are we now? Talk a little bit about our relationship.
Sure. Yeah, for people who don't know us.
Do we need to rehash that?
Not necessarily, but maybe how we identify, if we want to identify with some sort of label.
That's interesting. Yeah. So how do we identify? I think it depends on what day it is, what time it is, and who we're speaking to.
Okay.
Yeah, because for me, you have your ideas and position about it, but I think depending on where I'm at, it might shift that time. So overall, I would say that I am rather polyamorous. I am in a relationship with you. You are my primary partner, my nesting partner. And then I have some other interests that are emotionally involved and some that are more physically, sexually involved, but it's like that. And then I think we might go at that together and have relationships, ongoing emotional relationships that makes it feel like the amory part, the many loves. But then there's also times when I'm ethically non-monogamous and I'm doing my own thing separate of you. Yeah. And then I announce it that I am already in a relationship and I'm being ethical about it because I'm announcing my position. I'm not cheating on you, or when you go out on your date, you're not cheating on me. We're being open about it. We're open relating. But then there's times when we might go to an event, a party or a sex club or some crazy orgy or the back alley, whatever, and we might be just hooking up and swinging, right? It's like we're not looking for a big emotional investment with each other. We're just happy to know each other. We're respectful, consenting, and loving at that time. But the degree of emotional attachment, investment is different than some of the polyamory relationships that we would have, right?
For sure. So it's interesting that you said you're polyamorous, but then you said when you're on your own, you're ethically non-monogamous. I would say that you're still polyamorous.
Without a doubt.
Right.
But I wanted to introduce the idea of it being ethical because sometimes people, it's been asked of me, like, well, so what does that mean? You have permission to cheat on them? And it's really not about cheating. It's just the opposite. Right? It's about being very open, transparent, and honest with yourself, with your partner, and with the other people that might come to you.
Yeah. So for us, for me, and we have relationships with other people, and then we also do things together. And so this weekend was a good example where we did a bit of that. Like Friday night, we each did our own things, which were quite exciting and interesting. And then Saturday night, we did something together with people that are becoming. You'd say it's swinging, but I'd say, the more you get to know people, the more you see people, it also becomes like friendships, and like there's more of an emotional attachment along with the sexual attachment. I think that's what I like.
Yeah, for sure. No, there's deep feelings that are being shared with each other, right? It is not just the physical part, but it's the emotional part. It's interesting because I went skating yesterday and I was speaking to some people, and I thought, wow, it's fantastic. There's so many people at the park who are skating and we're talking to each other, and I get excited about meeting those new people. And it's not necessarily going to be sexual, it's just interacting with them, but it is that new relationship energy that I get that really excites me. I like meeting new people. And you and I get to meet new people like that, a lot of vanilla people, non-sexual, and it's wonderful. But we also get an added element of doing things that are we draw the curtains and we do things that are rather sacred and special and, quite intimate, and it's shared with other people. And we get that interaction. For me, I get that kind of new relationship energy by having it. It stimulates me, not just sexually, but intellectually, emotionally. I get that charge. And then the fact that we get to share it together is beyond, it's awesome. It's like, and then we reminisce, we're like, wow, like, wasn't that fun when we were like hanging out with them? And they're so sweet and they were thoughtful, and they came over and so it was, it's kind of fun. It makes for a very rich, full experience for us.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, let's jump in a bit more. But like one of the things that people often ask us, like either through our practices or coming into the group, is how we navigate our open relationship successfully. What makes our relationship thrive? In fact, my experience on Friday night, which was a couple that I saw, they also, one of the things that they asked and were very curious was about our relationship and how it works. So we thought we'd do this. We're going to go through the 5 W's, just some questions that you might ask yourself.
And quickly too, because we're already going quarter after.
Yes, we're trying to keep these shorter and more succinct. But so let's jump in. So let's start with
we keep saying it. We keep getting off track. All right, let's go. First, who?
So the who. So who might be suited to an open relationship?
That's a very good question.
So this is something we've talked about a couple of times. If you want us to a bit of a deeper dive, we
can look in the guides. I know that.
In the guides.
In the guides.
P is for polyamory, and is it right for me? That was one. We had our lovely Arzu as the guest, and then our very first video, the 5 questions to ask yourself when starting. So we're going to talk a bit about these questions, like throughout the who, what, where, when, why. But I just wanted to mention them because these are great things to ask yourself when you're considering opening up.
And this is just rudimentary, right? We're not going to go too deeply into this, just a quick overview, but good questions to ask. So what makes me want to be polyamorous, right? And I want to know, it was a question that came up recently, is like, have I always been polyamorous, right? Was I born this way, or have I been socially conditioned to be mono, or whatever, right? And I think it's changing to some extent, but it's interesting consideration. But what makes me want to be polyamorous?
Yeah, and that whole idea of being socially conditioned to be monogamous is interesting, because I think that's one thing that people struggle with when they are opening up. Like I know myself I think I always thought that things had to be a certain way. And I think had I been aware that there was other opportunities out there, I might have done things differently. Because when I look back, I had these moments of choice, and because I thought I had to make a choice. But anyways.
Right. Well, no, but I mean, we might go into that default setting of the relationship escalator, for example, right, that we've spoken about, as opposed to being in the relationship elevator, where we get to choose what floor we're getting off on or revisit. But yeah, so, if you came from certain areas or certain places where it's culturally accepted or expected to be one way, and then you're wanting to be another way, are you going to be faced with a certain level of resistance? And can you go beyond that? And are there moral considerations attached? Because for me, that's the biggest part, is somehow we have this estimation that, and I'm going to pick on monogamy. We're going to say that is the standard, and that's how we should adhere to. And anything beyond that would be in any way morally corrupt or immoral. But how did that get to be the chosen one? And why shouldn't it be just as viable to be this way?
And the relationship escalator is an interesting thing. I wanted to say this because I saw a clip from the Drew Barrymore show, and I have this feeling, so if anyone knows Drew Barrymore, I feel like we are going to be friends and I need to be on her show, and I'd love to talk about non-monogamy. So if anyone knows her, please let us know. But she was talking to Whoopi Goldberg, and they were talking about, she's like, I think relationships just aren't for me right now.
Oh, interesting.
And I was like, that's interesting. And I wonder what she's defining as relationships. And Whoopi Goldberg agreed with her. And she said, oh, I don't want to go find somebody's toothbrush in my bathroom. I just don't want to see it. And so I put a comment in the Instagram post saying, like, but what if you could decide that that's not the way you have to do relationships? What if you designed a relationship where nobody's toothbrush was in your place? You know what I mean?
And yet still get the benefits of feeling connected and supported and loved and seen and appreciated. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll let you know when Drew reads that and contacts me for relationship advice.
Awesome.
I'm manifesting it.
Yeah,
okay, so the second question is, could I be or am I comfortable with my partner being non-monogamous? So that's a big question.
You know, it makes me think about the fantasy of when we first start this idea, entertaining this idea, and I think to myself, oh wow, it'd be great if I had this, that, and the other thing. And like I project myself as, you know, the star in my movie and all the characters are going just the way I want them to be. But do I ever look at the other side and say, well, wait a second, what's it going to be like when you are the star and I'm there? Like, is it going to trigger me and make me feel a certain way? Or is it going to inspire me? I mean, it could be that and a whole bunch of other things, but can I consider what it might be like, you know? And I think that's good to have our eyes open to what it might happen before we go into it, right? Because once it's done, sometimes it's hard to unsee the scene.
Yeah. Right, like, so. And I see you doing a lot of things as recent as this weekend, but it's like, I had this moment this weekend where I'm watching you be intimate with another person. And I was like, it was just interesting for me because I was like, I'm actually comfortable with this and I like it. And I never, if you had asked me this like before I met you, if I'd ever be comfortable with that, I would probably have said, you're crazy. But anyway, let's go on.
Well, you know, I think it speaks to your openness, and I'm imagining that you must be fairly secure to be willing and able to be open in that way.
Yeah, I feel secure now. I mean, I probably wasn't always this way, but we've done a lot of work in it, but we're going to get into that.
We've done a lot of work. I mean, I'm thinking back to, you know, one specific incident, a party that we had that I've mentioned many times, where I was really triggered and felt very insecure. And my attachment style was not yet as strong as it is now, but you recognized that. And I'm so lucky you came over and you spoke to me immediately about how I was and invited me to talk about how I was feeling. And that was amazing. I had a very supportive and loving partner. So I'm thanking you for that. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. Thank you.
Where are we?
I like the little mini check-ins we do. Like even, you know, even though we've been doing this for a while, Saturday night when we were with some people, you were like checking in, and you know, we had like micro check-ins, eyeballs on. Are you good? Is this good? Are you feeling okay? And at one point I was not totally, and then you sensed it and reconnected with me, which was amazing. So.
But also we do the before care where we find out and we might speak about, well, you know, I prefer that this doesn't happen. We have some ideas about that.
Yes.
And then we do the check-in while it's happening, and then we also do the aftercare. How, you know, are you okay? Like, what did you think about this? And
reconnect.
And reconnect.
Yeah. Sure. We have a whole exercise we developed on that.
But you know, now it's not an exercise; it's just part of our way of being. It's been integrated, and it feels very comfortable. But they were initially like exercises, and I might even had some resistance to participating in them. But they've really been beneficial.
Okay, we should get through. These are not even the topics. We're like still in the 5 questions. Let's just read them quickly.
All right, let's do it.
Because we did a whole talk on this. So have I been in previous romantic relationships? Am I committed to being completely honest and talking about how I'm feeling and what I'm wanting? And am I willing to consider different solutions to problems that arise that could take me out of my comfort zone? So those are the questions that ask, like, is this for me?
Right.
Is open relationships for me?
In being able to speak comfortably and honestly about these things, sometimes our emotions get a little bit heated. Sometimes we might feel a little bit embarrassed or insecure, but I think it's overall very helpful if we can invite dialogue by asking open-ended questions like who, what, where, and also by speaking from positions of I and me.
Yes.
So when this happens, I felt like this, as opposed to saying, well, you did that, and I, and
you made me feel this way.
Right, exactly. So because what happens is then the other person might become defensive, and yada yada yada. Anyway, so speak from I and me, and really again try and be an active listener, right? Listen to understand.
Okay. Right. So who isn't it for?
Who isn't it for? Isn't this for everybody? Maybe
I'd
not.
say no. So
Maybe
the thing
not.
to ask yourself is, am I ready to do some deep introspection into myself and face my own attachment issues and security and stuff like that?
I thought this was just about getting laid and having a lot of sex. You mean it's a lot about relationships and communication?
Oh, wow. Yes.
But even if it's just hookups and friends with benefits? I would say yes, it still is, because you're still going to have feelings come up, right? And you're going to still have to know how to announce your boundaries, your preferences, all things, and be able to listen to what they're wanting as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So if communication isn't your thing, this ain't your thing.
But I would argue that you could learn to communicate and be a better communicator. I think I've done that over time, and you've helped me with that quite a bit.
Ditto. And then I wrote this one. I think you thought it was a bit controversial. If you're just wanting to have the freedom of sexual partners without accountability, supporting your partner and doing the work. So that was specifically when it's a couple opening up. So it's not just about sexual freedom. There's more to it than that.
Okay.
Did you have thoughts on that? I feel like you had thoughts on that.
I did, but I noticed that we are getting
already okay
down the time, and we still have a bit. So
all right. So we're on the what. So this is the thing that you always tell me. I use, like, when you talk to your patient, is like, one of the things you need to consider is what it is that you're wanting and not wanting as an individual, and if you're a couple, as a couple.
Well, knowing what it is you're wanting, that is step one of the cure, right? And for many people, in fact, that is the hardest thing, to figure out what it is they're wanting or not wanting. But once we can figure that out, then we simply go at it, right? We allow ourselves to find ways to get it, and we have it, and we're happy having it, or we change it and want something else. So knowing what it is you're wanting and knowing what it is that you're not wanting, being able to communicate those ideas once you know them to others as well.
Okay, so we already talked a bit about our own experience, but there's various positions you can take based on the emotional and exclusivity and sexual exclusivity you want. I'm going to show a quick diagram. We don't have time to get into this now, but this is one that we've shown before from Jessica Fern's book, Polysecure. So these are the ranges of where things are, from sexual exclusivity to low sexual exclusivity, and then high emotional exclusivity to low. So with monogamy being the upper left with the highest sexual exclusivity and emotional exclusivity, and then with polyamory and relationship anarchy in the very opposite diagonal corner.
Right. So these are on a spectrum, on a continuum.
Yes.
And it's indicating both the physical and the emotional aspect. Right. So how much interaction you might have, want, or need. And right, very good.
Yeah. So the important thing here is to really dig into this idea of, like, asking yourself, what is it I want, and taking the time to do that before you jump in. Because you can jump in, but like you said, I think you run into situations where you may not have anticipated certain things, and then some things, like you said, are hard to unsee. But even if you do that, you can work through those. But you might need support with that.
Sure, yeah. But it makes me think of kind of going down the ski hill, right? And they have, the Black Diamond, which is for sexperts, and you've already been down the hill a few times. And they have the bunny trail, and you might want to ease into it because, the moguls come at you pretty quickly.
Yeah. So I think looking at different types of scenarios and imagining how you might feel in those scenarios is one good way. I know that's,
Well, yeah, that's part of it, right? So we start off, and we were with each other, and we were fantasizing about something, and that was kind of the foreshadowing of what was going to happen, or what could potentially happen. It was a playground of our minds to be able to experiment in this way and see how we might feel. See, was it something viable? I mean, and then it turned out, well, yeah, that seemed like it was received quite well. Let's see what the next steps might be.
So for some people, this, like, figuring out what you want might be a pretty big phase, like a pretty big stage. Or you may have jumped in and like, I'm not sure if this is for me because of all the feelings that come up and that sort of thing. So that might not necessarily mean it's not for you. It just might mean that there's things that you need to work through. Like feelings of jealousy can come up. There's attachment sort of things that come up as well. What else?
It might also surprise you how much you like it.
Yes. Yeah, it might.
Well, because, often we talk about the dangers and the possible pitfalls, but there are quite a few reasons why we are wanting to explore this, and that loving feeling that comes up, and that's quite exceptional too. Makes me think about the idea that we say to always try everything twice. So your first time may not be so fantastic, and if you try it a second time, it could confirm that, or might give you another opportunity to have a different reaction, different experience about it. So keep an open mind whenever possible, but speak about the things that might feel not as well, and speak openly about them.
And you don't have to jump right into the deep end, like you said. You can take the ski slope, the bunny, shallow end bunny ski hill, and decide where to start, like what feels comfortable, and then go from there, because there's some agreements, communication, and things that you're going to need to do to kind of up level and change as you go.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? The idea that you should have an agreement. So while there are a lot of people who are solo, we're talking primarily about being in a relationship, a couple at this point. And yes, it's different than when you do it by yourself and you just jump in. And now we're talking about the agreement. Are we going to go down this slope? How do we feel about it? Are we cool? Are we set to go? And let's have at it.
But even if you're doing it on your own, there's some things you need to, prepare for that journey as well. Like what are your own personal boundaries? What kind of agreements do you want to have with partners? For example, maybe if you're a solo and wanting to be with a couple, and that whole unicorn dynamic thing that can come up, which we talked about 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So where?
Okay.
Where can you find people? Everywhere.
Even on the bus, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere. I think some places, though, it's a bit more underground. Sometimes it's obvious. There's signs like black rings, but that also is not necessarily a sign. Upside down pineapples in shopping carts, but my cousin just told me he just learned that one, so I don't think it's a common thing. Then there's dating apps.
So for people who don't know, they would take a pineapple, put it upside down, and that might be an indicator to other people. They might say, "Oh, that
you're a swinger.
Interesting pineapple you got there."
Oh, that's an interesting pineapple. Someone said he said that you could actually leave a pineapple outside your door. I'm not sure how we would do that, but maybe.
Yeah, it might be harder in urban settings.
Yeah.
But I wonder, how we might introduce each other in conversation, because
we talked about this.
Well, it's like back in the day, if somebody was an alcoholic, they might say, "Oh, he's a friend of Bill's." If he's an alcoholic in recovery, they might say, "Oh, he's a friend of Bill's." Or back in the day, when being gay was still very underground, people might say, "Oh, they're a friend of Dorothy's," right? So I wonder if we could say, like, "Oh, they're a friend of Polly's," or whatever it might be.
But didn't we talk about this with our friends on Saturday? And they were saying, what did they say?
Well, they had a very direct approach. They said, "Oh, like you guys seem like you're very interested. Like, what's the?
Are you in an open relationship like we are?"
Oh yeah, are you in an open relationship as well? Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh," you were like, "Oh yeah, you could do that totally."
Yeah, nice direct approach.
Yeah. So other than just randomly meeting people, there are definitely dating sites that you can use. I think some are better than others. Like Field is one of the ones that we use because there's a lot of people who are, it's very open about, you can link yourself with a partner, but you can be open about what it is you're looking at. It's like kink, sex positive, friendly.
Sure, yeah, a lot of queer and just strange, weird, wonderful people.
Yes, but even OkCupid, for example, you can identify as non-monogamous, and you can link yourself to your partner, and that's good as well.
I got bumped off for some reason. I went to go into my account the other day, and it said I'd been blocked, and I was like, whatever.
Which one? OkCupid?
Yeah. Oh. But my ex is a bigwig out there, so I wonder if they somehow. No, I doubt it. Anyway.
Maybe because I know on Field we got in trouble because we shared something about our group, right? So people were not happy.
No, I don't think I did that on there. But anyway.
Yeah. Some people say the one issue that comes up for them when dating and trying to meet partners is that they go on these sites and then they find monogamous people, and that causes problems. And for some people, if it's one person dating the monogamous person, the other person might feel that as a threat.
Sure.
And then also the person that's monogamous might have different ideas about what they want. And so just being clear in what our desires are.
Yeah.
Or they're just wanting hookups. So they think, oh, you're polyamorous. Oh, so you must be just good for hookups.
Right. You're only, yeah, exactly. You're going to nail everything that comes to town. It's interesting though, because on some of the vanilla or, more conventional dating sites, if I put it on poly or ENM, ethically non-monogamous, I've often gotten response of people say like, well, when are you going to grow up? Or like, how come you're not interested in a serious relationship? And yet, I feel very much like I'm in a pretty serious relationship after 4.5 years.
Yeah. Well, that's one of those conventions I think that I would love to dispel the myth on, is that it's not serious if you have multiple partners. Of course it's serious. I'm sure you guys have comments on that.
It could be a loving, serious relationship. Just being mono or being poly doesn't dictate whether it's serious or casual, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Where are we?
So now on the where, once you make a connection, the where is also where to meet.
As in
where to meet people. Like, so if you're dating, you go on a first date.
Right. You mean you want to actually go out like for a coffee or walk in the park or something?
Yes.
That's a great idea, because I've had people, Field, for example, I've met them and they're DTF, right? And they're like, we can come over like, at 7. And I think we're better to meet outside in a public place first, just to make sure that we vibe and, Yeah.
No, for sure.
And then if you feel it, great. And if not, well, then it's just like, it was lovely meeting you, and let's keep in touch, or not.
Or you can even do online. Like, people are doing a lot of online things now. So like online dates.
But get eyes on and get a feel for the person, right?
Yeah.
And make sure that you are safe. Make sure that you are.
And verify.
Right. And if you're not feeling comfortable with anything at any point, it's always within your rights to say stop. And no, come on, baby, just a little bit longer, anything. No. Consent and respect are paramount in these situations, right? And they must be respected.
Yeah. And we did a video as well earlier on about having good first dates in consensual non-monogamy. So we shared some tips there. So that's a good one too.
Yeah, that is.
We've done a lot of videos.
Yeah, we've got.
We need to maybe up our YouTube, like take snippets or do more with it, I feel.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Maybe. Yeah. We'll talk to our producers.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. So let's move on to the when.
Oh yeah, when. Okay.
When. So this is a big question. When. Ask yourself the question. When to start, or what is it about?
What is it about now that's prompting me? So let's say, for example, that you and I are in a relationship and we have been monogamous for some time, and now we've come to the idea, well, maybe we could, or one of us comes to the idea, maybe we could open up. So what is it that's prompting me to want it now? So in other words, is there something going on that's not quite so fantastic? And I have this idea that, well, if we open it up, or we had this, or we have more sex with these other people, that it's going to kind of fix the issue, or, address the problem that might be. I don't think that's going to work well. I think we have to have a good foundation, a good style of communication, good attachment first, and then we can explore these other areas.
Yeah.
So just ask yourself, what is it that's prompting me to do this? Why now? And it might be that, hey man, the timing's worked out and we're feeling secure, we're feeling liberated and all these great things, go at it, but try and be honest with yourself and your partner as to what's going on there.
And if there is something, is how can you become more solid in your relationship before you do that? Right.
So how can we address what might be needing some attention? Yeah. And often, it is more attainable than we imagine, or we could imagine, if we've not yet attempted to talk about it, right?
That's true, yeah.
It's almost like the boogeyman that we don't see. We imagine it to be so much worse than it might actually be. And I think that's the same thing with relationship issues, right? So we might not yet have the approach. It might not be as familiar to us, that mode of communicating, but we can definitely invite that and even learn how we might be able to foster that and benefit from it.
Yeah. I think what sometimes people forget, and I've probably been guilty about this at the beginning too, is that sometimes we're in a relationship with someone and we're monogamous, we have this feeling of secure attachment because of the our relationship, our structural attachment, right? Yes. So the structure of monogamy causes that secure attachment if we're someone who normally feels insecure. And so when you break that that dynamic. You have to make sure you also have that relational secure attachment. And that's sometimes something that has to be built or rebuilt when you open up and realize that it wasn't there, because it can open up things that you weren't aware of, like how codependent we were on each other and that sort of thing, which is why, you know, if you've been in any of the poly groups, people often quote that article, The Most Skipped Step, which talks about disentanglement or decoupling. You're not decoupling and breaking up, but it's understanding how you can be an individual in the relationship and you know, act in that way and not just as codependent.
Right. Yeah.
Now we're going to move on to the why, and we probably talked a bit about this. We'll see how much we need to include. But I think the why is the most important consideration. I think we talked about it in the when is like, why do I or we want to open up?
Yeah, it's interesting because again, it goes back to that question for me about my orientation. Was I born polyamorous, right? So why could almost be a given. It's like, why would I want to be monogamous? So, well, I want to be monogamous because I'm told that I could have a marriage contract, for example, and that I'd have one person who would love me forever and ever, and everything would be fantastic, and I'd be held by them, and they would understand me and all this. So it would be a very tempting offering to go that way, but I might not feel as though that is quite the right fit for me. And it might make it kind of difficult. I think I went off a little bit there, but I don't know if I was conveying the thought properly, but help me out, Tara. I'm stuck. I'm in the weeds here.
So your why do I want to open up? So really being honest with yourself of what it is you're trying to get out of opening up. And we talked a bit about it earlier, but also is like, are we looking for variety in our life? I think we talked about variety a bit in the V, is like, do we want, what kind of stimulation do we want in our life? Is it psychic, emotional, sexual? I think you mentioned it earlier as well, recapturing that new relationship energy. So meeting new people can stimulate this. I mean, you can always meet new friends. And I think this is something my parents said. It was like, why can't you just be friends with people? Why do you need to have sex with them? And I think this is the interesting thing that, you know, people get stuck in, right?
Yeah, you know, I'm not trying to say that if you are mono, that you could not have these same relationships and intimacies. I've had them all my life, but there is something added. There's something special, and there's the degree of depth and how fast it comes to you, right? So when we are engaged with people who are swinging poly that way, well, especially poly more than swinging, there's an intimacy beyond just being sexual that happens, I guess, by being physical and intimate that close, that you become psychically, emotionally connected very quickly. And it's a wonderful thing. It makes for a very large and loving community.
Yeah, and it's nice when you can, like, I love experiencing that new relationship energy with you together. So on the other side of this, though, NRE can be something that you have to deal with when your partner is having new relationship energy with someone else, and perhaps you're not having the same experiences. Maybe you're not having success meeting people online, because this is the thing that often comes up, I think, for people, is this unequalness. And I mean, it's too much to talk about it now, but it's like part of the journey, I think, for people who are opening up is how do you become secure in self, that you can have like 10 dates and I can have one and that be okay, because I can do other things. I have things that are, you know, are good about me, and I'm secure in my own self and those things.
Well, see, again, you use the word secure, and that goes back to the idea of secure attachment, not only secure attachment with each other, but secure with ourselves, right? And there are ways to increase that, to really foster that, where we feel better, because then we can allow for greater freedoms, and we know that we're okay no matter what the outcome might be.
Exactly. Yeah. So one of the things you need to consider about your why is it an unmet need? And we haven't really talked about needs. I mean, we talked a bit about some of these things, but like, am I trying to soothe myself, put out a fire in my relationship, be the thing that's going to stimulate us, or reinvigorate a relationship that's not doing well? So if we can offer one piece of advice, is, I think you already said it, is that opening up a relationship is not going to fix your relationship if that's the only thing you do.
Right.
if you do a bunch of work, I think, associated with it, I think it can be the thing.
Well, this could be the reward to that work.
Exactly.
Yeah. So make sure that you're on a good foundation, and then see if it works for you. Allow for it.
And sometimes I think moving to this type of relating can require some professional support and that sort of thing to do the work. There's a lot out there to help you. There's a lot here in this group, but I think what's awesome about it, I mean, I feel for myself, is how much growth I've had experienced as part of like the side benefit of being in this type of relationship.
Yeah, for sure. The emotional growth over the last 4.5 years has been phenomenal. Yeah.
It
awesome.
has been. So I think that's the majority of it.
Well, I just wanted to say, if people were struggling with these things and they wanted to get in touch with you, how might they do that? If somebody wants to find their way to you.
Oh, sure.
How would they do that?
You can, so I'm available you can book a call with me. I'll put up really quickly our
Right. And then
website.
Also I want to know, what about the speed dating thing? When are we doing this, and how do we do? Oh, so there's the way of getting in touch with you?
Yep, it's taraandré.com /book-with-us.
Awesome.
And then our speed dating thing, I think hopefully we'll do that in the next couple weeks. So if you are newly opening, that might be a kind of a fun thing to do, because it's very low risk and you'll meet other couples and individuals and, try it out. Yeah.
It is very low risk, right? Because you're going to be remote, and who knows, if you do make a good connection, maybe you'll agree to meet in real life. Ooh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
But our parties are always fun. People have been asking us to bring them back, and I think it's time to bring a party or two back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So hopefully this was helpful to you, and that you're asking yourself these questions. Let us know how it goes, and if we missed anything.
Yeah. Say everything. Ask us anything.
Oh, that's good. All right. Happy Monday. Oh, we managed to do it in 41 minutes.
All right. Well, we're getting there.
Okay, we'll jump into the comments after the live, and we'll post the replay.
All right.
Okay. Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Bye.